You might remember Flat Stanley, the little cutout character that travels around with students in their tiny elementary school folders.
And because we know that everyone could use a little whimsy and something interactive and fun, we created Flat Shakespeare.
Yep, that's right. Flat Shakespeare. And he's just as fun as you think he is. Head to shop.bravenewteaching.com/Flat Shakespeare or the show notes for this episode to download your own Flat Shakespeare.
All you have to do is then assign him to your students, ask them to cut him out, color him in, and then they can run around taking pictures with him all over town.
All over town. And along with your free download, we also provide a list of 10 activity ideas for your classroom. Seriously, the possibilities are endless, and Flat Shakespeare is sure to become one of your students' favorite classroom memories, just like they've become some of my students' favorite classroom memories.
Again, that's shop.bravenewteaching.com/Flat Shakespeare, or head down to the show notes of this episode. Have fun! Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching. This is Amanda. I am one half of the podcasting duo at the podcast. My name is Amanda, like I said, and my co-host Marie is currently in the midst of a grand production of Legally Blonde, the musical. And man, are we so proud of her and all the hard work she and her students have done. She's got a cast of over 60 students doing this show right now. And every year, I am so in awe of the work that she is doing with her kids. And I am happy to do some solo episodes in order to alleviate some of the stress and the process that she has to go through to be that director of the drama program at her school. And I'm just, again, so in awe. So don't worry, Marie will be back next week. And if you are joining us today, you are actually joining us in the middle of a 2-part little series here. I am sharing with you all my plea. I'm very close to begging my teacher friends here at BNT to give their summer reading program another chance. Every time I bring this up with schools, and even at my own school when I was there, both places, summer reading has kind of gotten a bad rap. It's if we've given up a lot of things in ELA these days, and one of them seems to be summer reading, no one's really feeling like it's worth the fight. And maybe I'm alone, maybe I'm the last one, but I really do believe summer reading is worth the fight. And I talked about it a little bit last week, but one of those reasons is because I see evidence of it in other spaces. Reading programs, reading experiments and experiences are highly popular and enjoyed by many people, but that's outside of the traditional school experience. So I'm talking about summer reading programs at libraries and at different universities. I've seen them in communities, one book, one school, one book, one community. There are lots of ways that reading has positively taken over in spaces that look different than how we've been doing things. And I think we can really draw a lot from those places and people to reimagine how summer reading can look in our experience with school. And so in this webinar, I began kind of that first phase of breaking down the research, talking a bit about the summer slide, and then really honing in on our purpose. And in today's part of the episode/webinar, we're going to look a lot more at the role that choice can play and how choice can look very different and we have a lot of choices when it comes to choice. For me, the last really necessary piece of a well-read and highly successful summer reading program is having something that's interactive as part of that experience. So we'll look at interactivity today and really think through how all of these pieces tie together to bring you and your school and your families a lot more success when it comes to summer reading. So without further ado, I am ready to get you all going here. Don't forget to head to bravenewteaching.com/summer reading to get everything you need as far as notes, slide deck, resources. It's all there. And you can get started planning right away. Do not wait. This is not something that you can do at the last minute. So get going and let's cue the music. You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a high school teacher from Southern California.
Join us after the show and happy hour to extend your BNT experience with instant access to our resources, workshops, and courses.
Visit shop.bravenewteaching.com/happy hour to join us today. We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
Okay, once we have established the purpose, we've built out our first 10 days, we've built out whatever that's going to look like, we can now start to move backwards and think about, what does choice look like? Choice is, I think, undeniably one of the most important pieces of a summer reading program, and deciding how we're going to be able to provide choice to students is a conversation about equity. It's a conversation about academics, and it's also a conversation about changing the reading culture at your school. So, like I described in yellow, there could be a predetermined theme or essential question that determines the list of choices. I also am happy to accept student additions to that list. If a student were to find a book that they think really falls well under that category or that question, I would be happy to approve it. Or, I mean, it's up to you if you actually want to have an approval process. If a kid wants to read a book, you might just say yes. And that's okay, right? Like, this is okay. If the students come back or there's a new transfer and you had this predetermined list of books and they read something quote unquote wrong or not on the list, it's not that big of a deal if we've thought through the fact that we can provide other types of literacy and other types of fiction and reading and experiences for them to still get caught up on the same foot. Like, it's okay. And so I wouldn't stress about that too much. What's nice about doing this is when you are lining up as a school to have a freshman list, a sophomore, a junior, and a senior, it's nice to see the arc of what all of the book choices have looked like. I think it's in terms of setting up the focus of each school year, I think it's really nice to kind of have a purpose for each school year connected to the summer. It's just a nice thing to have. It doesn't change the summer slide situation, right? Reading is reading is reading is reading. It's just, it fits nicely if your school's at that point. You might also consider maybe a genre-based reading list. That also helps. Sometimes students just don't know what to pick. So telling them, like, completely open free choice, while that's certainly an option, sometimes that's a little overwhelming or intimidating for students. So genre-based is an interesting way to maybe give kids some choice, or even game-based. I like to create summer reading games for kids that they need to kind of follow the very arbitrary rules of. And that is another way to afford students choice, right? They're going to take a summer reading challenge of some sort, or they're going to be trying to mark off squares on a bingo game. Those are all more ways for students to have choice. This is something that I wanted to share from my local library. This is the Lake Villa District Library in Illinois. And I, for the first time, participated in this summer reading program with my own children. And I was just blown away by the attitude, the rhetoric, and the approach to summer reading. So, like, granted, right, we have to talk about the differences between library summer reading programs and school ones, but I don't think that they need to be as different as we may have thought about them before. Look at the way that they organized. This is summer reading for 2023. Reading is sweet at Lake Villa District Library, and the more you read, the sweeter it gets. No matter your age or reading level, we want you to join the fun. The whole summer was themed around this idea of sweet. So, like, you know, there were candy and like Candyland, things like that. It was really adorable. Participating is a piece of cake. Here's how. I love this. Well, of course, like, the theming is adorable, but as we read this list, look at how many barriers are taken away from participating, right? How can we make participating as simple and easy as possible? Look at what this library did. Set a goal for how many minutes you want to read each day. Personal, you pick minutes. Cross off a box for each day that you read reach your goal. I wish I had a picture of this. It was like a bingo. It was not bingo. It was a game card. It kind of looked like Candyland. I mean, really simple. I know in Canva, you could just look at game boards and make one of these so easily. So each square was a reflection of a single day. They weren't numbered. They weren't dated, nothing. So cross off a box for each day you reach your own goal. Check in with us to track your progress. So every 10 days that you read, so there were 10 boxes, then the next box was earning a ticket, right? Earning this entry into the summer reading raffle. They had a bunch of raffle prizes. And so when you kind of crossed off those 10 days on your own card, you could go to the library, get this ticket, enter into a raffle. On day 20, there was a prize for everyone. And again, day 20 was your day 20 when you had read 20 days at your own reading time goal. And then they had other, different raffles and other tickets and things that you could get when you went to the library. I love this other disclaimer. Remember, being read to or reading to someone also counts. So audiobooks, reading to siblings, reading out loud again to anyone, to elderly grandparents. All of these things were thumbs up. Whatever your time frame goal is, approved. Sounds good. Go for it. Love it. And then I love this other part here. Hey, grown-ups, summer reading isn't just for the kids. You too can earn prizes. There were, more adulty prizes. And as the adults did the same thing, I set your own goal, mark off your little game board. Anything and everything counts. I love this last line too. And the best part about reading every day, you're modeling reading as a lifelong skill to the children in your life. This library's only goal was to celebrate every single attempt at picking up a book, pushing play on an audiobook, being present with literacy in your hands. Raise your hand, right? That is what this was all about. And it was so cool. Guess what? If you brought your bingo or your game board into the library and you lied about the boxes that you checked off and still got a ticket, wasn't a big deal. Are we here to encourage lying? Are we here to say it's okay to be dishonest? I mean, of course not. But the opposite attitude of assuming that kids are not going to do what they're supposed to do, assuming that students are lying, or assuming that they are not going to hold up their end of the bargain, that creates a culture of reading that's punitive. So I love this attitude that was whatever we can do to get parents, adults, children, our community to read and come to the library multiple times over the summer, that's a win. So I love this idea. And in terms of choice, right, you could do whatever you wanted. This one was about setting your own time goals and then reading whatever you want. I love that idea. Here's another idea that I am launching today during this webinar, and that is challenge cards. I created these challenge cards as another way to kind of gamify the summer reading experience. And if you're at a school that's kind of maybe on the neutral side, maybe neutral or even maybe hurting, this might be a fun way to get students to read books that they never would have thought of before, and to participate in literacy types of activities around their school. So if you look at my monster challenge, it's not just books on the challenge. The idea here in each of these challenge cards, and of course these are all editable, so you can change all of the challenges, you can change the rules and the directions. But for me, I wrote, welcome to our monster challenge. The goal for this challenge is to complete at least 3 of the circles above over the course of the summer. Bring back your crossed off card to enter to win prizes. That's it. No seminar, no project, no essay. Do 3 of these things, and we're going to have you win prizes in the fall. Like that was it. So they could read a book that features a monster. They could take photos or make a collage and create their own monster. Read a book or watch a film featuring a literal or figurative monster. Find an artist who uses a monster illusion, metaphor, or theme in their album title, song lyric, or work of art. Make a video in a place where you feel like a monster could or does exist. Listen to a podcast or radio show that features a monster story or series. There are actually like lots of really good podcasts that do this. My favorite one is Lore. I love Lore. It's an awesome podcast. But throughout this challenge, as students are trying to pick their 3 or maybe more than 3, your kids might accidentally stumble across an awesome podcast that they listen to for way more than 20 minutes a day, and they might actually really enjoy. They might travel a little bit outside of their comfort zone, aka that one spot on the couch that they occupy all summer while they play video games, to actually explore a part of their neighborhood they've never seen before. Maybe they'll pick up a book and like it, or maybe they won't like it. Maybe they'll watch a new film that they never would have seen otherwise. These are all rooted in literacy. They're rooted in broadening the experiences, the backgrounds, the cultural knowledge of where they're from. All of these things are going to help deter those symptoms of the summer slide. And they're fun. I have 18 of these challenge cards. And so the idea is that kids would, before the summer begins, pick a challenge that they like, right? I want to do the monster challenge, or I want to do the magic challenge, or whatever it might be. And then they just go for it. And while it's still limiting their choices, it's setting up this kind of gamified situation where they're trying to do some new things. So you can see there's the magic challenge, same concept. I even have challenges rooted in just color. They could take the green challenge, the blue challenge. I have a red challenge, an orange challenge. And it's just really fun and would kind of serve for a great buzzing, I think exciting conversation at the beginning of the school year when the kids are bringing in their cards and talking about what they did. And I think it would really create a lot of, buzz is the word I'm looking for over the summer. So this is a really fun way to do choice and challenge at the same time. I've also done this version of summer reading when it comes to more, again, of like if you're kind of in crisis mode or hurting, set up summer bingo. Set up summer bingo and even more broadly interpret what counts as summer reading. In fact, I didn't even call this summer reading. We called this a Stop the Summer Slide challenge. And so the goal here was just to make kids do more things. Do more things, right? Post a quote from a favorite book, show, or movie to your social media account. Choose a podcast and listen to an entire season. Learn to cook something new, draw, paint, or create something that inspires you, right? This is just about creating a culture that appreciates doing more than completely disassociating from school altogether. I also made this available to the parents to participate alongside their students, and it was really fun. And the students would just bring in their completed bingo cards at the end of the summer, beginning of the school year, and then they would enter to win prizes. And that was that. It was it. And the goal was to work toward turning around the reading culture at our school. We also did this bingo challenge at other times during the school year. We did the same bingo challenge at the winter break. I did one over spring break as well. So it kind of became this like regular event. And that's also really powerful if you're trying to turn the culture at your school around to being one that's a little bit more embracing of reading and literacy. Okay, the final category of things you might consider as you're building your summer reading program is how and if you want students to interact with the reading community over the course of the summer. So like in the example I gave you about the public library, right? One of the big goals of that program was to get patrons to the library. So in order to get your prizes, they were offering them during the summer because they wanted students to come in. And so I think that's a really interesting thought, depending on your community and like the geographical experience of that, like where your public library is. It would be really cool to partner with the public library if there was a way for your high school, middle school students to go to the library for your school reading program as well and pick up something or earn something by going to the library to submit their progress check. There's other really cool things that we can do digitally. And I want to demonstrate a couple of them for you right now because likely you haven't seen them because these are all pretty new. But before we go there, this list is really useful of things that you can look at on your own time. I'm not going to have time to show you everything here today, but bookclubs.com, we're going to look at Storygraph, we're going to look at Goodreads. You likely have seen before, but on Goodreads, students could just create a list of what they read over the summer on Goodreads. Like it's that simple, and you can set it up in May. Students can create their accounts and they can create their TBR lists, get them excited about the summer. And then once they have read a book, they add it to their summer, whatever the year is, list that they read. And then they can share their Goodreads with each other when you get back in the fall, right? Super simple. Litzy is similar. Fable is an app where students can join an online book club. It's so cool. And you could have students take screenshots from their Fable book club to share with you either over the summer or when you get back. Either way, you can also create a school-wide book club for summer reading using Fable. That's a really, really cool option. Bookmark is another great app that you can check out. And then, of course, using a game board of some sort, like I've already described a couple times. Bookmark is an app, but it's also an idea, right? Where you can also make a bookmark that everyone receives, and the bookmark maybe has the essential question on it. Maybe the bookmark has a time tracker or a timetable if students are keeping track of that. Okay, so let's talk about this awesome app called the Storygraph. This is the desktop version. There is also an app version that I really, really love. And I want to show you how to create a read along. So this is something that's really interesting. And if your school were to do something like a one book, one school challenge, or if you were going to have a read along with a teacher, maybe every teacher picks their favorite book and students can choose to join whichever teacher they want in the whole school and read with them over the summer. I'm not sure exactly what this looks like, but I thought it was really cool to share with my creative friends here. So in Storygraph, once you are logged in, you can create a read along from the inside of any book that you would like to share. So let's say maybe we want to do the Hacienda. I can come in here to the Hacienda, and then I would start a read along. So when I start a read along, I have time, I could give it a description, a start date, an end date, and then I can make it public. That would make sure that people can find it. That might mean that other people join it, but like that's cool too, right? That's not a bad thing. And then once students are in, they're allowed to have a conversation and be part of the kind of reading process over time, like a book club. So I will show you other ones that are, nope, not here, community. Under the community tab, you can see other ones that are out there when you click on read alongs. So let's look at Happiness Falls. I've never heard of this book. Very interesting. I can join the read along. Oh, it hasn't started yet. So, okay, that's a really bad example. Okay, Amanda, let's pick something else that's currently happening. And see, not a lot of people are participating. This is a relatively new feature on the Storygraph. So let's see. Let's go down a little bit older. What do we have here? Oh, Against the Loveless World. Actually, I love this book, but it hasn't started yet. Oh my gosh. Okay, we need one that's already happened. Can we find one that's already happened? Oh my word. There are a lot of them here. This is so cool. We could also, of course, have kids just come in here and pick one to jump into, right? Like as long as it's happened, as long as it's happened, then it should work really, really well. What's going on here? Look at all of these books. Oh, I loved. Okay, perfect. Let's see how this one's going. Project Hail Mary. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so not a lot right now. I can't jump in. Okay, I love this. Okay, so for a fun read along, I'm going to join Project Hail Mary. Okay, perfect. So it tells you the participants, how much of the book they've completed, their average progress. There's me. I already gave it 5 stars because I loved it. Let's see. Anticipation and introductions. People can do that there, right? So it kind of provides a forum for your school and your students. Open discussion for chapters 1 through 9. So you can do that and students can come in and add their comments. I think it looks like they can block off any spoilers, which is kind of cool. That way people don't, obviously, and you wouldn't click into anything that you haven't read yet if you don't want any spoilers, and not a lot of comments just yet. Okay. But this is the idea. It's definitely new. It's really interesting. I hope that gives you some inspiration for trying something interactive with summer reading if that fits the culture of your reading in your school. Okay, so here's another web-based potential space where you could do something interactive with your summer reading program. This is called bookclubs.com, and I'm logged in already. And there are lots of things that bookclubs.com can do. It's really a beautiful website. But I think that the book clubs themselves are really, really interesting. So I could join a book club so that you can browse the book clubs that already exist. So you could ask students to join an already existing book club. We could create our own book club if we wanted to. I'm going to show you, I don't currently have one. I'm in one called a teacher book club, and I can show you what the inside of this looks like. So there are lots of members here. You can, of course, here's where you could have welcome to our high school's, summer reading program book club, our summer book club. All the students would join as members. You can send invitations with email, really simple. What the book club is currently reading. We could put here the entire list if we wanted to. We don't need to have just one book. There could be multiples here. If there are going to be any meetings, there could be in-person meetings, or maybe there's something at a local coffee shop, or maybe there's a Zoom that kids could come to if they wanted to, that you could link all in here. You can cast polls and ask opinions and thoughts about what students are reading, send messages to the book club, which is really, really cool. And that's it. And then there's this is like a history of what we've read as a book club. So that I don't think really applies to summer reading. But this is a very, very interesting option if you wanted to have some kind of digital way of interacting over the summer and staying in touch with students. I didn't talk about this in other areas of the presentation today, but if you don't feel like your school is in a position to really do something school-wide, if you're looping with your students, or if you have the opportunity to potentially do this with just your classes or just a section of students that you're getting the next year, can you imagine how cool it would be to do a summer reading book club with your AP Lit kids for next year, or a summer reading book club with your sophomore students who are going to be your sophomores next year, and having that relationship start over the summer? That'd be so, so cool. So even if you can't manage a school-wide experience, I think that some of these either Storygraph or book clubs would be really interesting options to do something online and keep the conversation moving around books. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of information today, and here are a few things to underscore as you are going to take this all back to your department, to your teacher bestie, to your department chair, and really think about what makes sense for you this upcoming school year. Summer reading needs to be an updated conversation every few years. That's the truth of it, is that we can't plan it once and hope that it holds for 5, 6, 7 years. It's not going to. The culture of reading and the way that students are reading is constantly evolving. So it's okay if this is an updated conversation every 1 to 2 years. I also recommend researching other schools that are nearby and even far away. I did a little bit of that heavy lifting for you. I have 3 really interesting and very different approaches to summer reading here in this slide deck for you. Remember, I'm going to be sharing this with you as a PDF after the webinar is over. And you can go ahead and take a look at each of these 3 different programs. I think that it's really cool to see the different ways that these schools have approached summer reading, and you can see which ones maybe fit best with your goals, your culture of reading, your ICAs, all kind of in consideration. So take a look at those and see if any of that helps inspire your plan. And remember that at some point, we actually have to make a choice. Are we going to hold students accountable for their summer reading through a grade, additional writing, and a culture that assumes the work was not done and requires proof? Or are we going to create a student-centered, no barriers approach to literacy? And we're going to think about friendly competition, plenty of choice. We're going to value multiple forms of texts and definitions of literacy and reading, and a culture that rewards all literacy experiences without judgment. Where do you want to be in the next few years? I really don't think we can have both. I just don't think we can anymore. I think maybe there was one point where we could have both of these things, but we have to decide what message we want to send to our students, and then we have to stand by it. We have to show up for multiple years in a row to get kids to believe it. If we're in the pink box, one summer is not going to turn the tide for the culture of reading at our school. We need to show up year after year after year after year and actually walk the walk. Demonstrate that we believe in this, that we are here to support you, celebrate you, and be excited for what you do, not to finger wag and shame kids for what they haven't accomplished. And this applies to honors and AP. Those students should also be reading for fun and assumed that they're doing the work. If we create this culture of needing proof and needing accountability every single summer, it's going to hurt the reading culture of our school long term. If you're wondering what are some things I've done for prizes, because I know that you are, I get this question all the time. Here are a few fun options that usually cost very little or are donated from either the community or within the school itself. I think that it's really important that if you're going to promise prizes, which you do not have to, there do not need to be prizes involved with summer reading, but if there are, they should be desirable for students, right? If we're going to try to incentivize students, we need to know what students want. They don't need to cost much. And I recommend getting in touch with local franchise restaurants and even local family-owned restaurants for gift cards. They are all so good about being, pouring back into our schools. What coming to mind right away is actually our local Dairy Queen franchise is always giving out free coupons for scoops for things like summer reading. Dairy Queen is amazing. Maybe I don't know if you have a Dairy Queen by you or another like very famous custard or ice cream shop, but I feel like ice cream shops are on board for things like this. Local movie theaters often participate as well. They are really, really supportive of their communities. I know that they count on teenagers for a lot of their business. So I think that you would have a lot of luck getting movie passes or free popcorn or things like that from movie theaters. So don't forget about them and get creative, right? Things like homecoming tickets. Right? Who doesn't want to win some free homecoming tickets? I mean, maybe prom tickets are more expensive, but you can give away, right, 20 tickets to homecoming for free. And that's exciting and that's fun and cool. Good for them. I've also one year did, and this was actually really, really fun. I did a VIP ticket package for the fall play. So it was, I think I was able to give out 3 of them. So like 3 winners could bring a group of 3 or a group of 4 friends to the fall play. They had preferential seating, and then they had like a special dessert after the play. Or maybe maybe they had a coupon for a meal, like a dinner at a local restaurant before the play. It was really, really cute and fun. And like it encouraged kids to come to the fall play, which is like the least attended of all the plays. So it was always really cool to helped the theater students too, because there were more people coming to the play. There was a lot of hype, and that was really, really fun. So I would recommend that for sure. If your school store has merch, or if your PTA, PTO has access to some school apparel, that's really fun to give away. Athletic season passes for student families, that costs schools nothing. Not every school has this as an option, but at both schools where I've worked, you have to pay like $35 and you can get a pass and you can go to all of the athletic events for the whole season. So for the whole fall, you can go to any football game, any soccer game, and then there's no individual entrance fee. If you can talk to the athletic department and get something like that, that's a great prize for students to win for summer reading. A parking voucher, talk about like the most highly coveted thing in a high school, is getting preferential parking. If that's something that applies to you, consider that as a prize. I've talked about movies. I talked about ice cream. I've talked about, what about locker locations? If your school uses lockers, can you give preferential locker location to a summer reading winner? And then also, if this is allowed at your school, what about an off-campus lunch pass for one whole week? The student has permission to go off campus for lunch. Right? Like, you don't have to pay for that. You just need to give them permission. They get the hall pass to come and go from campus as they'd like. All right. So these are just some ideas to, if incentivizing and prizes, and you're going to do something more like a challenge or a bingo situation versus an academic, right, a seminar situation, these are some ideas for you. Okay, let's wrap things up. Here is your checklist of things to do before students leave you this year. Of course, we're going to develop our ICA. You're going to set your goals according to that ICA and the culture of reading at your school. I'd love for you to establish your plan for the first 10 days of school and how summer reading will fuel it, right? The purpose of summer reading should be answered quickly at the beginning of the school year and be part of the fabric of that plan. If you need help planning out that first 10 days, please, I will be sending out plenty of emails sharing that information with you. I encourage you to give that a shot. Give it a try. It's going to feel so good to have that planned out well before the summer begins, and to feel that cohesiveness of what I'm asking them for May is going to make a whole lot of sense in August and September. Select your level of choice, whether you're going to do a challenge card, or you're going to do a bingo card, or you're going to give kids a reading list to pick from. Is it going to be a free-for-all and they're just tracking minutes? Design that component of your program. And then consider the possibility of an interactive element. That, to me, is absolutely the last level of what's necessary. I don't know that every program needs something interactive, but if it makes sense for your purpose and for your ICA, then by all means, think about the interactive component that would work best for you. I would also try to make space for a moment that students can maybe go to your local library to get their library cards. Once they have library cards, they can download Hoopla, they can download Libby, they can get tons and tons and tons of free audiobooks from those apps. It gives this kind of very exciting unlimited access to books, which is exactly what we want to celebrate with summer reading. Provide the assignment if at all possible. If you're going to give an assignment connected to summer reading, give it to students in May. Don't make it a surprise in August and September. Give it to them right away. Email it home. Remind them about it over the summer. And make sure that whatever that assignment is, the summer reading component is going to enhance the assignment, not be something that is punitive or there's points taken away if the summer reading doesn't go well. Keep parents in the loop. Plan out some emails to inform parents. Let them know about the summer slide. Let them know what you're doing to combat it. Let them know what they can do at home to combat it. Invite them to join the summer reading program if at all possible. And of course, draft some kind of midsummer email home to parents, a reminder and a way to continue to excitedly keep them part of the program. You guys, thank you so much for being here today. I know this was long. I hope it was inspiring and exciting and gives you lots to think about. I cannot sit here and tell everyone what to do because summer reading is so dependent on your individual schools and how well you know your school and you know your students. And I hope that you've got the tools that you need today to make that happen. I look forward to hearing from you all and providing whatever I can to support you in this effort. And I say, let's go off and rescue summer reading. Let's start some energy around this and let's share about it on social media. If you learned something today, I would love for you to either take a screenshot from what you learned, share about what you're making, what you're buying, who you're talking to in your community about prizes. Share that with us on social media to get the word out, create this buzz, and help all of our students progress in their literacy skills to make every school year that much better, that much stronger. All right, everyone, thanks for being here. Thank you for being such a wonderfully adventurous teacher. I will see you around and talk to you soon. All right, so there you have it, folks. This is your 3-step plan to reviving your summer reading program. And I don't know. I hope that no one's listening thinking like, man, that sounds like a lot of work and I don't think it's worth it. I really do think it's worth it. And I implore you to give it one more shot if you have it in you. And I hope that these tools and suggestions, even just this time to sit and kind of objectively observe what summer reading means to you, your department, your school community, the parents. I'm sure you heard it in the webinar, but I believe in the power of reading, especially things like summer reading and even readathons and reading programs, right? Big picture reading initiatives have such a beautiful just experience that's shareable, right? I mean, when we assign books and we teach books in class, that's one thing. But when we're having community experiences, that reminds everyone that reading is important beyond the grade book. And I think everyone needs that reminder, not just students. And so if you are going to give your summer reading program a fresh chance, you're going to bring it back to life, you're going to rescue it, give it true CPR, head to bravenewteaching.com/summer reading to get access to the tools, ideas, and notes from this episode and this webinar that you need in order to make that happen. If there's something else that is on your mind and you're thinking like, I really just wish I had more people to talk to, Happy Hour might be the place for you to come hang out. In Happy Hour, teachers and Marie and I, we get together regularly and we talk through our big ideas together. We talk about planning. We talk a lot about backwards planning. We talk a lot about curriculum, and we actually make space and time to work through and implement the things that we are learning, and we do it together in community. So if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for in your teacher life, you should probably come check it out. You can find us at bravenewteaching.com/happy hour to be part of that experience as well. We'd love to have you over there. There's a couple hundred teachers and we're just doing the work together because that's the best way to do it. Doing it alone is pretty freaking hard. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for giving your reading program another chance at life. And I look forward to seeing you all next week and into this beautiful rest of the school year. Thank you so much for being here again and have a wonderful rest of your week at school. Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in Happy Hour and the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here and have a great week at school.